Good Thursday morning, Patriots, and welcome to O'Connor's Right Stand. Here we shred the woke haze with a chainsaw, blasting the gritty, unvarnished truth into the open. I'm your host, John O'Connor, a programmer by day, a truth warrior by night, and I'm beyond honored to have you Patriots in the fight with me. So the last few days have been filled with wedding discussions, a little bit of NASCAR, and my normal exercising. One thing about me is I walk a minimum 3.5 miles a day as fast as I can go outside for just shy of an hour on my lunch break. I just block an hour on my calendar and work allows that. And that is wherever I am. If I'm traveling, I walk circles around the hotel I'm staying at. Or, my normal, just walking the streets around my residence. I just hit a massive milestone. I hit 3,000 exercise miles walked since June 5th, 2022. And I'm not talking about going to the store or walking to get the mail, just solely dedicated exercise time. Now, I'm not here to preach, but if you are like me, who has suffered from anxiety and depression, and by no way am I a physician, so check with your doctor, but try spending an hour outside walking. When I started, it was Dan Bongino I would listen to, every day. Now I spend a lot of time listening to the Vince podcast, or Ted Cruz's The Verdict. Or if I'm into something else, I turn up some classical music to tune out the world. I swear, it has changed my outlook on life. Not sure if it's the exercise, the sunlight, the blue skies, or just accomplishing a goal every single day. And regardless of scorching temps or freezing rain, snow, sleet, I get out there. And it's truly helped me, and I really hope it can help you. So maybe give that a whirl. If you're suffering from anxiety or depression, just get outside for an hour, at the bare minimum. So enough about me. Let's get to the mission. This is episode 5, and we're diving into the story that's got the MAGA base ready to storm the gates. Attorney General Pam Bondi's catastrophic handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files, particularly the mythical client list that turned out to be a quote-unquote mirage. On July 7, 2025, a leaked DOJ and FBI memo leaked like a nuclear bomb, declaring there's no client list, no blackmail evidence, and Epstein's death was a suicide, torpedoing Bondi's months of hype. From January to July, Bondi went from promising earth-shattering revelations to backtracking faster than a politician caught with their hand in the cookie jar. We've got a treasure trove of video clips, audio recordings, and a trail of broken promises to dissect. Was she duped by bad intel? Naive? Or playing a deeper political game? I'll lace in my take on what was running through her head, because this saga is a train wreck of epic proportions. Let's set the stage. Jeffrey Epstein's case is the ultimate lightning rod: sex trafficking, elite cover-ups, and conspiracies that fuel sleepless nights. Bondi, a Trump loyalist and former Florida AG, stepped into the DOJ in January 2025 with a mandate to deliver transparency. She was supposed to be the Patriots' champion, exposing the deep state's secrets. Instead, she got MAGA influencers like Laura Loomer, Liz Wheeler, and even Elon Musk calling for her head on X. We'll track her evolution through every damning clip, from her bold January promises to her July mea culpas, and ask, how did she fungle this so badly? Was she outmaneuvered by the swamp? Or did she just overhype the evidence to score points? Grab your coffee, an energy drink, or a double shot of bourbon if that's your thing. This is a 3-alarm fire, and we're diving headfirst into it. Buckle up, Patriots. This is O'Connor's Right Stand, and we're exposing the truth. No mercy. The Epstein case isn't just a scandal. It's a cultural earthquake. For years, the MAGA base has been obsessed with Epstein's client list, a supposed ledger of powerful predators, politicians, CEOs, and likely possibly royalty. It's the stuff of late-night X threads and viral memes. Bondi, a seasoned prosecutor with a knack for the spotlight, stepped into this pressure cooker, promising to deliver. Her early statements were like gasoline on a fire, igniting hope that the elites would finally face justice. But when the DOJ memo landed, it wasn't just a letdown, it was a betrayal. We'll walk through every step of her journey from the hype to the crash, using clips to show how she went from hero to zero in merely 6 months. My commentary will dig into her mindset because, Patriots, this isn't just about facts. It's about why a savvy AG would make such a mess. Let's roll the first clip to see how she kicked this off with John Roberts.
Pam Bondi said she was reviewing a stack of Epstein files.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So a few days later, she discovered that the FBI's New York office was hoarding thousands of pages of documents about the whole investigation. The top FBI guy in New York was forced out because he was playing games with these files. So what happened?
That clip's pure fire. Bondi's got the confidence, promising to rip the veil off the Epstein case. I'd bet my last dollar she was riding the MAGA wave, pumped to be Trump's point woman. She likely saw herself as the avenger of justice, believing the FBI had blockbuster evidence. Maybe not a literal client list, but something big enough to shake DC. Her prosecutor's ego was in overdrive, thinking she could deliver a knockout blow to the deep state. But here's the kicker. She didn't double-check the intel before going all in. That's where the trouble started, and we're going to unpack it all. So, Patriots, let's dive into the roots of this mess. Who is Pam Bondi, and how did she become the face of the Epstein file saga? Born November 17, 1965 in Tampa, Florida, Pamela Jo Bondi, a political force with a prosecutor's grit, and I could say, a TV star's polish. Picture a blonde powerhouse in a sharp suit, commanding courtrooms and press conferences with equal ease. A 1987 University of Florida grad with a law degree from Stetson in 1990. She cut her teeth as a prosecutor for 18 years, tackling drug busts, homicides, and everything in between. As Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019, she built a reputation as a tough-on-crime conservative, aligning with Trump early in his 2016 campaign. By January 2025, when Trump tapped her as U.S. Attorney General, she was a MAGA darling, ready to deliver on the promise to drain the swamp. But the Epstein files. That's where her star started to wobble. Bondi's history with Epstein isn't new. As Florida AG, she oversaw the state's handling of the 2008 plea deal, a sweetheart arrangement that let him serve 13 months in a cushy Palm Beach jail for soliciting a minor. Journalist Julie K. Brown's 2018 Miami Herald series, Perversion of Justice, called it a travesty, accusing Bondi's office of going soft. Bondi fired back, saying she inherited a weak case from the federal prosecutors and pushed for tougher penalties than her predecessors. A 2019 Palm Beach Post article quotes her defending the deal, claiming she fought for the victims within legal constraints. Fair enough. But the stink stuck. Critics like Brown and ex-users like DC Drano painted her as a complicit in letting Epstein skate. When she took the DOJ helm in 2025, the MAGA base saw a chance for redemption. Bondi leaned into it hard, promising to unearth Epstein's secrets. She was likely drunk on the MAGA energy, seeing herself as the Patriots' champion. Trump's directive was clear. Expose the elites, no holds barred. She probably thought the FBI's massive Epstein archive, thousands of pages, videos, and images, would definitely hold a game changer. As a prosecutor, she knew how to sell a case, and she was selling this one to the base, banking on a bombshell to cement her legacy. But here's the rub. She didn't verify what she had, or did she? We can only speculate at this point. Was it arrogance, inexperience with federal intel, or blind loyalty to Trump? I'd probably say a mix. She was eager to please the base and skipped the homework. To get why Bondi's promises hit hard, let's unpack the Epstein case. case's grip on America. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with ties to Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and billionaires like Les Wexner, ran a sex trafficking ring that abused over 1,000 girls. His 2019 death in a Manhattan jail, ruled a suicide, sparked theories of murder and cover-up, fueled by his elite connections. The client list became a holy grail for conspiracists, a supposed ledger naming powerful predators. Exposed from the Quartering and Gunther Eagleman amplified the hype, with millions of views. A 2024 Pew Research poll showed 62% of Americans believed Epstein was murdered, and MAGA saw Bondi as the key to proving it. Her promises tapped into that rage, but they also set an impossible bar. In January 2025, Bondi hit the ground sprinting. She vowed to declassify Epstein files, aligning with Trump's campaign pledge to expose the deep state. Ex-posts from Santa Surfing and It's the Doctor Show, the base losing their minds, expecting names like Clinton or Gates to drop. By late February, she was on Fox News, doubling down with her client list claim. Let's cue that clip.
One of the things a lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
That's Bondi throwing red meat to the base. But what happened to Thursday? Oh, things were going to be released, but did we ever see those documents? No. What was she thinking? She was likely riding high on Trump's trust, believing the FBI's trove, described as thousands of pages in a January 2025 DOJ press release that must have had something explosive. As a former AG, she knew how to work a crowd, and her prosecutor's instinct was to build anticipation. But she was wading into uncharted waters. Federal investigations aren't like state cases, and the FBI's Epstein files were a maze of redacted documents and unverified tips. She might have been fed inflated reports by DOJ staffers or assumed the hype was warranted. Either way, she was setting herself up for a fall. Bondi didn't operate in a vacuum. Trump's 2024 campaign leaned heavily on Epstein's conspiracies, with rallies chanting, "Release the list." A 2024 poll showed 78% of GOP voters wanted the files public. Bondi, a loyalist, might have felt the heat. Her January and February statements were tailored to that audience, promising a reckoning. But the pressure wasn't just from the MAGA. Democrats and the media were watching, ready to pounce if she botched it. A January 2025 Politico article noted her high-risk role, warning that mishandling Epstein could alienate Trump's base. She likely saw this as her moment to shine, a chance to outdo predecessors like Bill Barr. But she underestimated the complexity and the blowback. Late February, early March, Bondi was in full showman mode, promising a Phase 1 release of the Epstein files that blow the lid off. On February 27th, the DOJ dropped 200 pages, flight logs, a redacted contact book, and a masseuse list. Problem? Well, most of it was already public from Virginia Giuffre's 2015 lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. The White House staged what I can only call a PR stunt, inviting influencers like Rogan O'Hanley, Jair Reichek, and the Hodge twins, handing them binders labeled The Epstein Files, Phase 1. It was meant to be a triumph, but it was not. Bondi probably thought the binders would buy time, keeping the base hyped while the FBI sifted through more files. She might have even believed the optics. Influencers waving binders would signal progress, but she misjudged the audience. Patriots aren't dumb. They'd seen those logs before. Ex-posts from Shadow of Ezra and Election Wiz ripped her, with millions of views calling it a scam. Bondi then pivoted, claiming the FBI's New York office withheld thousands of pages. Let's hear her throw the FBI under the bus.
Pam Bondi released a letter that says, basically, I was duped too. In the letter addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel, Bondi basically says, I asked you for the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. I received 200 pages of documents. I asked if these were all the documents, and the FBI said yes. Late yesterday, I learned from a source at the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and the indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the evidence of these files. Bondi's demanding by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning that the FBI deliver everything to her office, including all records, audio, video recordings, all materials related to Epstein. And she ensures DOJ will disclose everything. And she's directing Patel to begin an immediate investigation into why the FBI isn't following orders.
That's Bondi in full deflection mode. She was scrambling. Her big reveal flopped, and she needed a villain. Blaming the FBI was a prosecutorial reflex, but it was risky. Was she genuinely stonewalled? Or was this a dodge to cover up a lack of prep? A February 2025 Breitbart report quoted DOJ sources saying the FBI's New York office was slow-walking releases, but oddly no specifics ever emerged. Bondi's letter to Patel, leaked to Just the News, demanded answers, but it felt like theater. She was losing the narrative, and the base was getting restless. Bondi's February Fox News clip claiming a client list, quote-unquote, was on her desk set the nation in a MAGA ablaze. Posts from Gunther Eagleman and DC Drano racked up millions of views, hyping names like Bill Gates and Prince Andrew. By March, Bondi was doubling down, telling Maria Bartiromo about a truckload, quote-unquote, of evidence that included tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with kids or child porn, and, quote-unquote, 254 victims. She was banking on FBI briefings that overstated the evidence. A March 2025 DOJ internal report mentioned thousands of videos, but Bondi's tens of thousands was a stretch. The DOJ later clarified it was over 10,000 videos and images, mostly child sex abuse, not a client list. She might have been fed bad numbers by FBI holdovers, or exaggerated to keep MAGA engaged. Either way, she was digging a hole. Her claims were specific, testable, and wrong. Things took a wild turn on April 28, 2025, when a covert recording surfaced catching Bondi at a DC restaurant discussing tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with kids. James O'Keefe dropped it on X, and it went viral, with the post hitting 10 million views. Let's play that audio.
Now, this is the first time an official has publicly acknowledged that videos of Epstein and his victims exist. What you may not know is just 9 days prior, the Attorney General had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been...
Okay.
So...
Any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
In the past, officials have spoken about the, quote, mountain of evidence in the Epstein case, but they've never, previous to that moment, acknowledged on the existence of videos of, quote, little kids.
What was she thinking? Well, Bondi was likely venting, thinking she was off record in a private chat. She might have believed the FBI had explosive evidence. Maybe a rogue agent hyped it, and wanted to signal she was on top of it. But talking in a public restaurant? That's a rookie mistake for a seasoned AG. The recording fueled conspiracies, and more likely, she was careless. Caught in the heat of the moment, and it cost her big. By July 2025, the wheels were off the bus. On July 7th, a leaked DOJ and FBI memo reported by Axios, which is odd in itself, but declared no client list existed. No blackmail evidence was found, and Epstein's death was a suicide. It did confirm over 1,000 victims, way more than Bondi's 254, and detailed over 10,000 videos and images, mostly child sex abuse material. The memo was a gut punch to MAGA, who'd been promised a reckoning. Let's hear Bondi try to spin it in a White House cabinet meeting.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Mr. President, on the tariffs first, you've said it is the deadline.
Bondi's flailing there. First, no one is asking for the child porn. Who in their right mind wants that? And the comment that, quote unquote, that's it? Like, how dare we ask for what she said was coming for months? So she was thinking that she was in full damage control, trying to save face, after the memo shredded her narrative. The leak timed during a holiday weekend caught her off guard. She likely expected a controlled release, and not a public embarrassment. Posts from Laura Loomer and Alex Jones called her a liar, with Loomer demanding her resignation. Even Elon Musk chimed in, tweeting, "Why haven't the Epstein files been released?" Bondi was cornered, and her defense definitely sounded desperate. The July memo ignited a MAGA revolt. Influencers like Liz Wheeler, the Hodge twins, and Charlie Kirk tore into Bondi, with Wheeler's July 8th YouTube rant hitting over 2 million views. Let's roll a clip of the backlash from Liz Wheeler.
Well, Pam Bondi didn't do what she promised she would do. She said she would deliver, and she didn't. So in a sense, it's actually that simple. She said she would deliver, and she didn't. Something she said, either then or now, is not true. She told us something that wasn't true. That is a big, big problem. Now, Glenn Beck asked me this morning, I was texting with him early this morning, and then I went on his radio show to discuss all of this. He asked me directly on air if I was calling for Pam Bondi to be fired or to resign. And I want to be very clear. Yes. This has been obvious since the day she gave us those infernal Epstein binders. And I confess I held my tongue about this for a while for a couple of reasons. First of all, when someone's on your side, you give them the benefit of the doubt. And I thought, well, maybe she'll end up producing. Maybe she said something stupid. Maybe she got out over her skis. Maybe she'll end up producing. Let's just not do a hot take here. Let's just wait.
That's the base unloading. Bondi was likely blindsided by the memo's bluntness, and its leak to Axios. She might have hoped to spin the narrative with Trump's backing, but the base wasn't having it. A July 9th Newsmax report quoted a DOJ source saying Bondi's team was fractured, with Dan Bongino clashing with her over the video's authenticity. Kash Patel, the FBI director, was also catching heat for not delivering. Bondi was probably banking on Trump's loyalty. Caroline Leavitt's July 9th statement called her, quote-unquote, committed, but the base's trust was gone. Now, the jail video, meant to prove Epstein's suicide, had a missing minute, 11:59 to midnight. Bondi called it a technical glitch, but it again fueled conspiracy theories. She was leaning on the Bureau of Prisons tech excuses to shut down skeptics like Alex Jones, who called it a cover-up on his July 8th show. She likely knew it sounded weak. Conspiracy theorists were already screaming murder. A July 10th Daily Caller report noted the missing minute aligned with Epstein's death timeline, fueling even further distrust. Bondi was trying to project control, but she was swimming against a tsunami of skepticism. Behind the scenes, Bondi was battling FBI resistance. A July 2025 Just the News report cited sources saying the FBI's New York office, led by holdovers from the Biden era, slow-walked document releases. Bondi's February letter to Patel demanded accountability, but Patel's own team was split, per a Breitbart report. Bondi likely felt betrayed by the FBI, believing they'd sandbagged her with bad intel. She might have pushed Patel to dig deeper, hoping for a last-minute win, but the memo's release showed she'd been outmaneuvered. Now, Patriots, the million-dollar question was, or is, Pam Bondi duped by bad intel? Or was she deliberately hyping a lie? Bondi's guilty of catastrophic overreach, no doubt. Her February claim of a client list on her desk was reckless. Lawyers and FBI officials, per the July DOJ memo, said no such list existed. Her March and April claims of tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with kids were contradicted by the DOJ's over 10,000 videos and images, mostly child sex abuse material, not blackmail tapes. Her May 7th White House comments, doubling down on the videos and the 254 victims, were shredded by the memo's 1,000 victim count. And her July 8th defense of the missing video minute sounded like a cover-up. Her history as Florida AG, where she was accused of soft-pedaling Epstein's 2008 deal, adds only fuel. A 2019 Miami Herald report quoted victims saying Bondi's office ignored them. She's either incompetent, failing to verify FBI intel, or complicit in a bait and switch to hype MAGA. Neither is a good look for an AG. Now, in her defense, Bondi was under insane pressure. Trump's base demanded a blockbuster, and she relied on FBI reports that likely overstated the evidence. Her February letter to Patel, per Just the News, shows she was frustrated by withheld documents. The July memo, while damning, confirms a thorough review, and Bondi's July 8th clarification that client list meant case file suggests a miscommunication. Trump's support via Caroline Leavitt's July 9th statement backs her. What was she thinking? Bondi was likely fed bad info by FBI holdovers, possibly Biden-era loyalists sandbagging Trump's agenda. As a prosecutor, not an intel expert, she might have trusted the wrong briefings. Her loyalty to Trump drove her to hype the case, but she didn't expect the memo's blunt reality check. She was probably praying Trump's backing would shield her. But, again, the base wasn't buying it. Here's the truth. Patriots, if what is said is accurate, and in truth, I've kept teeter-tottering on this, but now I'm starting to smell something rotten. But let's assume everything is on the up and up, and we haven't been fed total lies. Bondi's guilty of sheer incompetence, not conspiracy. Her hype was reckless, driven by loyalty to Trump, and to a desire to deliver for MAGA. She didn't verify the client list or video claims, and her PR stunts, like the influencer binders, were absolutely tone deaf. The DOJ memo exposed her as out of her depth, and her backtracking only deepened the distrust. She's not deep state, but she's no hero. She's fumbled a chance to deliver real justice. This isn't just about Bondi, it's about the system. The Epstein case exposes how elites dodge accountability, and Bondi's flop fuels distrust. A July 9th NBC News report says her mishandling deepened public skepticism of the DOJ, with 65% of the GOP voters in a YouGov poll saying they trust X posts over government reports. The memo was leaked, timed to a holiday weekend, smells like a deep state move to bury the truth. Bondi likely realized too late she was pawn in a bigger game, caught between Trump's demands and a bureaucracy playing dirty. MAGA influencers amplified Bondi's rise and fall. From Santa Surfing's January hype to Laura Loomer's July rage, X shaped the narrative. A July 10th Newsmax report noted influencers drove 80% of Epstein-related traffic online. Bondi's team courted them with the February binders, but it backfired when the files flopped. She likely saw influencers as allies to rally the base, not realizing they'd turn on her when the truth came out, not realizing she'd embarrassed the same influencers that supported her. Well, once again, we're here, and that's a wrap for episode 5. We've ripped the lid off Pam Bondi's Epstein files fiasco. From January's sky-high promises to July's humiliating crash, she hyped a client list that never supposedly existed and dangled tens of thousands of videos that weren't what she claimed, also leaving MAGA feeling stabbed in the back. Clips from Fox News, a covert restaurant recording, and White House briefings show a prosecutor who bet big and lost bigger. Was she duped by bad intel or just chasing clout? I say she was in over her head, a loyalist who let enthusiasm outrun evidence. But, help me out. Share these clips on X. Tag us at O'Connor's Stand. And let's keep the heat on the swamp. We've tracked Bondi's journey, a Florida AG with a controversial past, a Trump pick promising justice, and an AG who fumbled the ball. The July DOJ memo, no client list, no blackmail, suicide confirmed, was a knockout punch. Her February PR stunt with influencers, her April loose lips, and her July excuses show a pattern of missteps. The evidence, FBI reports, X posts, and her own words, paints a picture of incompetence, not conspiracy. This saga is bigger than Bondi. It's about a system that thrives on secrets and broken promises. The Epstein case demands truth, but so far it feels like we've only got smoke and mirrors. We're not just exposing Bondi, we're exposing a machine that protects the powerful. Now, let's think about this like warriors, not sheep. What if, and this is pure speculation, but just hear me out, that Trump's playing 4D chess while the Dems are fumbling around with their little checkers game? We all know Trump's the ultimate showman, a master at selling the sizzle and the steak. What if, again, pure speculation, he's dangling these Epstein files like a carrot, letting the Dems trip over themselves, begging and pleading for him, thinking they got dirt on him. But here's the kicker. What if Trump knows he's clean as a whistle, and he's setting up the ultimate trap? He's got the receipts, folks, and when those files drop, boom, it's going to torch the Democrat donors and their whole corrupt crew. I'm just saying, don't underestimate the man. Trump's playing to win, and the Democrats could get embarrassed and smoked. Purely speculation, just wanted to throw that in there. It's obvious, but I'm going to say it very loud and clear. I'm never going to stand up for some vile pedophile. Just never. These scumbags deserve a one-way ticket to the hottest corner of hell. But before they get there, they got to face the full weight of justice right here on Earth. No excuses, no cover-ups, just cold, hard accountability. We're talking lock them up and throw away the key. Evil like that doesn't get a pass. Not on my watch, and definitely not on yours. Well, I'll get off my soapbox here, but thanks for riding with me, Patriots. I hope you enjoyed it, and if there's something you want me to change, a topic you want me to cover, or just want to swap stories or thoughts, hit me up at O'Connor's Stand. Hit that subscribe button, drop a 5-star review, and follow me on X. I'll follow you back. Just shoot me a message. We're back next week with more truth bombs, so stay locked and loaded. Until then, keep fighting, keep the faith, and never let the deep state rewrite the story. This is John O'Connor, holding the line unapologetically, signing off.